Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In order to understand the relation between Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha and the Prophet of Allah, we need to have an introduction. Once the Prophet, addressing the companions, asked them, do you know what is the strongest rope of faith that if you attach to it, you know that you have access to true faith and you are safeguarded and protected? The companions answered, some of them it is salat, praying. The Prophet said praying is important, but it's not answer to my question. Some of them said it is fasting. Again, the Prophet answered the same answer, and different things were uttered. And finally they said, we don't know, and the Prophet of Allah knows better. Then the Prophet said, أوثق أرى الإيمان الحب لله والبغض لله, or Al-Hubbu fillah wal-Bughdu fillah. It is to love for the sake of Allah and to hate for the sake of Allah. This is the strongest rope of faith. To like for the sake of Allah and to hate for the sake of Allah. So this manner and behavior and characteristic, if it is inculcated in the person, so all goodness is followed and all evil is abandoned. When you love whatever in your life for only one reason, because Allah loves it, and when you hate something because Allah doesn't like it, then you don't need to have any more teaching or any more advisor. It means that you are in full obedience and submission to God and to goodness. And the Prophet saying this, he is the best role model in this issue, and he is the person who more than anybody else loves for the sake of Allah and dislikes for the sake of Allah. Bearing this in mind, when we come to Prophet and Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha, we see that the Prophet showed so much attitude and respect and love to his daughter Lady Fatima al-Zahra, such a great affection that it's not only a matter of father and daughter. The Prophet of Allah loved Lady Fatima al-Zahra so much that we see in a hadith the Prophet said, she is the most beloved among my household. The Prophet said, أحب أهل بيتي إلي فاطمة الزهرا. Fatima is the most beloved one among my household to me. In another hadith says that فاطمة أحب أهلي إلي, meaning the same concept. So in different hadiths, we see that the Prophet mentions Lady Fatima al-Zahra as the most beloved one. And as I said, the Prophet is the one who doesn't love someone, like someone only because of the getting close to Allah and for the sake of Allah. If it is so, it means that Lady Fatima al-Zahra is so loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and is so respected before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Prophet follows the will of Allah and the wish of Allah. And we find it in the different aspects of the Prophet's life that he showed a great respect and love to his daughter Lady Fatima al-Zahra, something that he didn't show to any other woman in his life. While he was married to other women, and there were other women in the life of the Prophet, but nobody received such a respect and such a love from the Prophet. I already said that according to different narrations mentioned in both Shia and Sunni sources, Lady Fatima Zahra was the most beloved woman to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this wasn't only because of the great character and personality of Lady Fatima Zahra, salamullah alayha. We see that there is a hadith, and there are different hadiths in this, putting this concept that the Prophet said, whenever I missed the aroma of paradise, I used to smell Fatima salamullah alayha. Meaning that Fatima was, this daughter of the Prophet, was the one who smelled paradise for the Prophet. And you know that historical sources which are mentioned that the time that the Prophet was worshipping Allah in the cave of Hira and used to spend time there worshipping Allah once, and the apple was from Allah, from the heaven, and the Prophet ate the apple, half of it, and half of it was given to Lady Khadija salamullah alayha when he was back. And then Lady Khadija was pregnant to her daughter Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. It was from this heavenly fruit, and the Prophet mentioned that Fatima is a heavenly being, and lady was so perfect in her soul, in her characteristic, and in her personality, that the Prophet of Allah talked about her, saying that Fatima is Hawra and Siya. Hawra are the women in heaven, in paradise, and Siya is the human being. So Lady Fatima salamullah alayha, according to this definition, is a person of a perfect characteristic of heaven. You know, this life is a life of perfection, meaning that you in this life have to worship, and every day, every moment we can ascend. And there is capability and potentiality to get perfection. Any good action we do, any more good intentions and behaviors that we have, it increases our personality towards perfection and ascends us more. But when it comes to heaven, when the day of judgment is established, it's the day that all potentialities are per se, and they are in full manifestation. So heavenly beings are in their perfect manifestation, while in this world there are lots of potentialities that we have, are potential, and they are calibers that have not turned into existing realities. Lady Fatima is a person, according to hadiths of the Prophet, who has the heavenly perfection in this material life, and she has the perfect personality present at this life, and because of that she was loved by the Prophet. So the way that the Prophet loved this personality was quite different, as I repeated several times, from the love and from the respect that normal father may have to his daughter. And all these things go back to this great personality and character that lady has formed in herself at the very young age of 18. Today, when we see a person of 18 years old, we consider them to be even adolescent or adult or turning into adult. Means that they still have a lot to learn and a long way to get kind of perfection. But Lady Fatima at the time of the Prophet, and she's very young, she's of a very young age, but she has perfected her personality so much that she is loved by the greatest Prophet of Allah this way that the Prophet says, I may be her ransom. The Prophet wishes to be ransom for his daughter, and it is because of the great personality of this lady. May Allah keep all of us among the lovers and followers of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah.